Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Or if you happen to be new here, please don't forget to click that big old red subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. So today I'm talking about episode 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2, entitled Kayshon, His Eyes Open. It's our first introduction and our first look at the new Chief of Security on board the Cerritos in this Temerian character that we haven't seen since the Next Generation episode Darmok. So it was good to see this this race and this new character come on board the Cerritos. I think he was a good addition to the crew. Obviously, heaps of little in-references and so forth to that episode where they, they spieled off a few lines that we know so well from that episode. The Darmok and what's his name at Tanagra and, Timber, his arms wide and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it was kind of, cool little hark back to that episode in this new character. So there's a fun opening to this episode with the various lower deckers all in their communal sonic shower block, I suppose you'd call it, with Mariner and Jet kind of having a bit of a contest and see who likes the sonic shower turned up the highest or whatever, and all of the lower deckers are running out of the shower block because the proverbial hot water's turned up too high. So we don't get to see the sonic shower very much in Star Trek. It's referred to on the odd occasion, but we kind of very rarely get a proper glimpse at it. Interesting that the sonic waves strategically blur out the naughty bits on our various characters here in this episode, so that was very fortuitous of the sonic showers. But our main part of this episode is our crew, including our new security chief, doing a bit of an inventory and a bit of a analysis of a museum ship. You guys might remember the Next Generation episode, The Most Toys. I think it was season 3, where Kivas Fajo, I think he stole Data, he wanted to add him to his collector. So apparently there's these guilds of collectors, much like Kivas or whatever, who stole Data, who go around the galaxy acquiring priceless artifacts and collectibles and all that sort of thing. Kind of a little bit like the collector dude in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who was played by Benicio del Toro, which was kind of a quirky character. So we kind of got to see a few little background elements and so forth in this episode, where we had the crew analysing various things. We've got the NASA Mars rover thing that they sent to analyse Mars in the background of a few shots. We've got the little video game that they wore over their head and that beamed little geometric shapes and so forth into holes or whatever that they played on the Next Generation episode. I think it was the game. And then we had all sorts of interesting things. There was even a skeleton in the background with an Abraham Lincoln skeleton or something, which is from an old original series episode. One of the ones very late in season 3. I think it was called The Savage Curtain, where there was some sort of Abraham Lincoln skeleton. Anyway, they had the Abraham Lincoln skeleton in the background of the museum ship. We even had a few crates of Chateau Picard wine that Rutherford was going through on a pallet there. It was even vintage 86, if we look at this number on the crate here, which is the vintage that Raffi asked Picard when he came visiting, whether that was the bottle that he'd brought her.
Is that the 86?
So obviously the vintage 86 wine was the most sought after. If you look closely, there's a lot of these little bits and pieces that we have in fact seen before in past Star Trek episodes. Now it was good in this episode that we got both an A and a B story. So we had the lower deckers on the Cerritos, on this museum ship, going through all the inventory there and getting captured by the collector guy who comes to life in a painting, kind of a bit like, reminded me a bit of Ghostbusters 2, old Vigo the Carpathian or whatever, coming to life and spurning them and zapping poor old Kayshon, turning him into a puppet of all things. Not sure why a puppet would be the most collectible thing. Surely if it's a collectible ship or whatever, I would have thought maybe some sort of, action figure type maquette. Some of those really highly detailed collectible, this sort of paraphernalia. Some of these things can get quite expensive. So I thought the puppet was an interesting choice, because the puppet didn't do anything. I thought if Kayshon had started talking like a puppet and acting like a Muppet or Kermit the Frog, or it might have made more sense. But I thought, okay, it's funny that he's a puppet, but he didn't do anything as the puppet. So that was an interesting choice. Meanwhile, we've got Boimler over on the USS Titan infiltrating a Pakled mining operation. The away team is masquerading as miners to infiltrate this kind of Pakled organisation thing. It was good to see a bit more of the Titan, good to see a bit more of Riker and his primary crew. We obviously had Vanessa Marshall doing a voice for the first officer character. Fans of Star Wars Rebels would remember Vanessa Marshall having done the voice for Hera Syndulla in, I think, not only Star Wars Rebels, but also The Bad Batch and other, Star Wars type animations as well. And also Nolan North, as everybody wouldn't remember from the Uncharted series, Nathan Drake doing one of the voices again for one of the minor characters in this episode. And of course, Jonathan Frakes doing the voice for Captain William Riker. One little thing which I thought was quite funny, after the battle sequence with the Pakleds, that Riker said, "That's a wrap," which isn't more so a reference on Riker, but a reference for Jonathan Frakes as a director. Obviously, Jonathan Frakes has directed God knows how many episodes of Next Generation, DS9, and Discovery and Picard and everything. Obviously, a very accomplished Star Trek director, and I thought that was kind of cute that Riker said it's a wrap or whatever, because that's obviously one of the more well-known lines to come out of directors' mouths at the end of a shooting day. So that was fun. I wouldn't necessarily say there was, packed full of jokes. I don't recall sort of, laughing out loud of anything in this episode that was particularly humorous. I think there was some interesting stuff. There was some good action with the Titan against the Pakleds. Good, well-paced, interesting episode. Not funny, really in any huge degree, I thought, but still, interesting, good episode, good story. And obviously at the end of this episode, we also get a hark back to that old Next Generation episode where Will Riker gets transporter cloned, or finds his transporter clone marooned on a planet, who ends up kind of being renamed as Thomas Riker. We had the similar scenario go on with poor old Boimler here, who gets kind of stuck with the away mission, and he doesn't get beamed back to the ship, and he does get beamed back to the ship, but he takes a shuttle as well, and we end up with two Boimlers at the end of this episode, of which one stays on board the Titan and one that goes back to the Cerritos, which is a surprising turn of events. I knew obviously from when we've seen the various different trailers for this season that we would be getting Boimler back on the Cerritos at some point, but I didn't think it would also be a Boimler remaining on the Titan. So it will be interesting to see whether we come back to that at some point and see how the career of Titan Boimler is comparing to the career of Cerritos Boimler, and whether one ends up rising through the ranks quicker or ends up getting killed on some away mission, or who knows what's going to happen there. I'm guessing we'll probably come back and see what's going on with Titan Boimler at some point or another. It seems like a logical thing to do. In terms of our new security chief, we kind of didn't get too many Temerian-like references out of him that expanded beyond what references we already knew from that Darmok episode. Well, obviously, we had a few of them thrown in there, which was kind of fun. I enjoyed the suck-up line or whatever it was from Mariner when Jet was sort of trying to schmooze a little bit with the new head of security and talking about the beast at Tanagra or whatever. And Mariner says, "Oh, more like the suck up at Tanagra," or whatever. I thought that was kind of cute. So yeah, we got a lot of these references from this past Darmok episode, and I'm guessing in forthcoming episodes we're going to probably expand upon the references that come out of Kayshon, referring to other past historical Starfleet events that will be quite amusing. Guys, I really enjoyed the second episode of Season 2 Star Trek Lower Decks. Kayshon, his eyes open. What did you think? Did you enjoy this episode? As I said, I didn't find it, hugely funny, but it was entertaining. Good story, good A and a B plot. Great to see the Titan. Great to see the guys from the Cerritos, bouncing back and forth between the two situations. That was kind of fun. Guys, if you're liking my videos and enjoying the channel, please don't forget to leave a super thanks by clicking on that little heart down the bottom with the $sign in it. Helps support the channel. Much appreciated. And as always, click like and, feel free to comment, share this video with your friends, check out my merchandise where you can pick up some cool t-shirts in the merch store, link in the description, or click on the join button to learn more about becoming a Sci-Finatics member, where you can get some really good channel perks off that as well. And I'll see you guys next time for my next review. Catch you then.